Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Father God, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for all the blessings that you give us each and every day. And Father, you've heard these names that we've called out tonight that just need you right now, Father, and a lot of them need a healing, Father. To be your will, we just pray that you would touch them, Father. And Father, we do thank you for Brandon and what he's accomplished, Father, and just be with that young man. And first of all, just protect him, Father, as he goes about doing the duties that he's been called to do. Be with us tonight as we discuss the business of the city. Just let everything that we say and do be a praise and honor to you. And it's in Jesus' name I pray this. Amen. Okay. Now we'll call the meeting to order. The first order of business is to adopt the agenda. We do need a motion. Kagan makes that motion, and Nicole seconds it. All in favor? And that is unanimous. Okay, the next line item is the minutes from the February 20th meeting. And if y'all would look over on page 4, not numbered. At the bottom on that page is the motion from the Moonlight Properties. Fred opposed that, but he did not mean to oppose that. Is that correct, Fred?
Right.
So Fred wants to correct the minutes to show that he voted for this. So that would be a correction to the minutes. Other than that, I think that's, anybody else got any corrections that need to be made? So we need a motion to accept the minutes as corrected. Nicole makes that motion, and Simmons seconds. All in favor? Unanimous. All right, thank you. Okay, Mickey.
Got a couple of dates for y'all on the stuff that we're doing that's coming up. As you know, I talked to y'all last time that the Main Street's working with the American Institute of Architects, and we're doing a series of meetings and plannings and projects that are going to engage, we think, youth in the town, have a design element to it, also have a bill. How you doing? And we did the first one last 2 Saturdays ago, February 24th, and it went pretty smooth, where we walked around town and looked at a number of different features in public spaces. We had a couple of architects in towns. We had a recent graduate from Mississippi School of Architect, who's from Water Valley with us, and we had a number of people in the community who came out as well. So what came out of that meeting and discussion is going to be what's called a series of design possibilities for public spaces downtown. And we're going to have a design reveal event, this is the first date, on April 21st, it's a Saturday, and that'll be from 6 to 8, and that'll be at Beaux Arts Gallery. So we'll hang all the particular designs up, everybody can come by, take a look, comment on them, see what's going on. The next date I have for you is going to be Friday, May 18th. We're working with Mississippi Arts Commission, and they're holding a thing for South Art. South Art is a 9-state art coalition of which MAC is a member of, and they're going to have the big art party for Mississippi in Water Valley, downtown, Friday, May 18th, at Yellow Run Studio. So that's going to be from about 7 o'clock on. Saturday, May 26th, again, back with the Architect Institute of America, we're going to have a build day, and this is where we take the design that we picked in April and actually start construction on it in May, and that's with the help of students, with people in the town, and with the architects. So that's actually going to be a hands-on build day. It's a Saturday, an all-day event. And the last thing I have for you is Friday, June 1st, we'll have a block party for the 200th block of North Main. All the businesses that are going to be on North Main are going to throw a block party. That's Friday evening, and we think the 200th block of North Main has come back with a vengeance, and we'd like everybody to come out and enjoy that.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is Carl Grubbs with the change order. Ask Carl to come and to discuss that with us tonight.
It's my understanding there was some discussion last board meeting about the change order, so basically I wanted to back up, start at the beginning, and explain you the process of you know, how we got to where we are. So in the beginning of the project, you know, we're replacing the existing sewer line that started at Fred's, goes down the middle of the streets all the way around through there. So, we knew in the beginning that the existing sewer line crossed under the storm drain and then turned right there in front of the post office and went parallel with the, in front of the post office, paralleling it through there. So we knew we was gonna have to eventually cross under the storm drain. One of the requirements that we had the contractor to do was saw cut down both sides of his cut. So when we got ready to repair the street, we had a good straight edge to put all the pavement back in. So the contractor went in and did all his saw cutting, you know, down the streets where it was required. And he started at Fred's and then started laying his sewer line. When he got up to in front of the post office to go under the storm drain, instead of being a pipe, is a formed in place structure made out of concrete blocks and a concrete top. Okay, so this is a differing subsurface site condition, thinking it was a pipe, to where in reality it's a poured in place structure. And so that top was, when he made his saw cut, he saw cut on the top of the structure, which basically would not support itself, so it has to be replaced down through there in front of the post office. So this can be done with the change order, okay? This change order, I don't know if y'all are familiar with these projects, but every time you have a project and you have a construction cost, you have some contingency items for unforeseen things. So all of this can be paid for in a change order in the contract at no additional cost to the city.
Who was unaware that there was a box culvert going down?
I was the engineer, I designed it, I was unaware that it was there. The contractor was not aware because I was not aware. So,
what step in the process should you have become aware of that box culvert?
if anyone would have known it in the very beginning during the design, so let's say I knew it was there, then I could have, even though we followed the existing sewer line exactly where it was, because we were basically replacing the sewer line, putting in a new one, right, bigger size, but the same location. So if I'd have known that was there in the beginning, then we could have moved over 2 or 3 feet, saw cut 2 or 3 feet over, because when he saw cut, the box is about 4 foot wide. But when he saw cut about a foot inside the box. If we would have got lucky and sawed a foot this side of the box, then we wouldn't have replaced it.
So when you were putting together the engineering plans, did you have someone from the city, what resources were you using to figure out what was on the street?
I had David and I had Mike, and I walked the entire project. We surveyed the entire project. I knew the storm drain was there. That was not the issue. The storm drain is typically a pipe and not a precast top over a concrete block walls.
In the pre-construction meeting, neither one of them brought that out.
Yeah. It was not discussed, to my knowledge, and I've got the contractor here, but he assured me he didn't know about it, because we don't want these kind of issues. We want to, we want to alleviate and stay away from these issues, because like I said, if we would have saw cut 1.5 feet, 2 foot over, it would have been there and we could have dealt with it. But it just so happened that we sawed it. He did what he was supposed to do. He sawed it to have a good straight edge, but he happened to saw it on top of that existing structure.
So I'm not sure where the ball was dropped, because I believe that.
I don't put a blame on anybody, because I don't know if the city knew it was there, okay, or not. But
They didn't bring it out.
no one brought it out in any of the discussions that, hey, this is a formed in place box with a concrete top. So things like this, that's what we have contingency for, because anytime you do a project underground, it's easy to see it now, but you can't see it when you're riding down the road. So that's the reason we have these type contingencies items in these projects, because anytime we dig in the ground, just like the water line that we hit, typically the water lines, well, we didn't hit it, luckily, we found it, but typically, I'm talking about the one we.
A big one, Jesse.
A big one.
The other one.
The big
Yeah,
one.
big
I was
one.
gonna say, which time?
Yeah.
12-inch one up there.
Anytime you go underground, these towns just, it's everywhere, they just don't know where everything exactly is. Well, on that particular one, it was way deeper than is normal, so undoubtedly field may have been put in that, so we were able to adjust that one. So, and that's why we have contingencies in these type projects, because we can't, you know, we can estimate where things are. Of course, if we'd have known what that was, then we could have shipped it over, but not knowing it was there.
Mike, did you know the box culvert was under the street before we cut it up? The storm drain?
On Main Street?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I knew that. I crawled in it when I was a kid. I'm not an engineer.
Well, I just wish you'd told me, because I could have fixed
Classic
it.
mistake, nobody asked. No, I'm kidding.
Well, next time I do a project, I know who to call.
How many others have you called through? You want to have a
Now,
confession?
now I'm on the
I know
spot.
who to call.
That's right.
But it wasn't brought out in the construction meeting.
And it's unfortunate it happened. Luckily, it won't cost the city any money. It's part of the project, and it's just one of those things that happens. I'm not blaming anybody. It's just something that happens. We can fix it, and I say we fix it and move forward.
Any other questions? What we got here? Okay, I would entertain a motion that we do approve this change order.
I don't want to make a motion.
Anyone? Where we are legally then.
Well, why don't y'all wanna, I mean, give me some insight as to what I'm missing here.
So, we have a cut that went straight up a known box culvert, and I understand now we're trying to figure out why nobody knew about the box culvert, but there was a lot of knowledge of the box culvert.
Sure.
Someone ran a saw up the middle of it instead of going to the side of it. And that is a mistake, someone's mistake.
Right.
And so spending extra taxpayer dollars to cover that when.
I thought he said it wasn't extra.
What's that?
I thought he said it wasn't extra.
It's a change order.
It's
It
a
is.
change order.
It's a change order for
It is an
22,515.
It is an additional amount. It's paid
Yeah,
through the
we're trying not to
contingencies
pay.
of the project in the grant.
That's what I
So,
tell you.
What I said is there's no additional cost to the city. The
$23,000
city's
extra
match
of the
won't
grant
change
money
whether you
to
accept
pay
this
for
one
a
or not.
mistake that was
The
made by
city's match is the
contractor
city's
is the
match.
point.
It won't change.
Because they have their own insurance to cover theirs.
So in other words, not putting words in the mouth, but it would appear that they just want y'all to fix it. Not necessarily Willis Engineering, but that's what it appears.
So what is standard, if there was not free money that we could take from the taxpayer grant system, if there was another private project
Okay.
where.
If it was, let's say this was 100% funded by the city, is that what you're saying?
Yes, and
Okay.
if there was an engineering firm that had done pre-work, research, given plans to a construction company, and they came across something where they destroyed something because they were not aware of it, where would the responsibility go?
Okay. Well, of course, you'll have to consult with your attorney, because I'm not an engineer, but differing subsurface site conditions is something that's legitimate, that happens all the time, to where you can't physically walk up there. The contractor couldn't walk the job and see it. I couldn't walk the job and see it. No one made me aware of it, the contractor aware of it at the time. Therefore, it's not known, so it's a differing subsurface site condition.
So I heard you say a couple times that you assumed that it would be a pipe
Standard industry is a pipe.
in a system that's over 100 years old.
Standard industry is pipes, yes. That's right.
So Mike, did we ever talk to anybody outside of the city about that box culvert? Or is that just a? He doesn't want to say
It wasn't, like, again, it wasn't brought out in the meeting.
Is it pennies coming out of the city's coffer?
No,
It won't change, whether you accept this change order or decline this change order, it will not change the amount that the city has to pay. Because if this money is not spent in the grant money, it will be sent back to the state.
I mean,
Yeah, for another project.
I get the point that somebody made a mistake, but I don't know. In the grand scheme of things, crap happened. I mean, I just don't feel like we should. I mean, obviously they're here admitting that they're not saying whose fault it was, but they're saying a mistake was happened and it should have been done something different. Of course, they got to fix it because of that. I mean, I don't necessarily know if I'd want to go to bat with a company that's had a diligent and reliable relationship with us for over a decade over a box culvert. That's my personal opinion.
I would wonder if that company would want to go to bat with the city that it's been working for over a decade, over a box culvert.
It's up to you guys.
Any thoughts? So what are next steps? Is the construction company looking to you to remedy this, or is it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're saying they're not at fault because they were not aware of this situation. Therefore, they shouldn't have to fix it at their expense.
So they're, in the design specs that they were given by Willis Engineering, the distance off the curb, they followed that?
Yes.
Okay. So the construction company isn't at fault. They followed the directions. So this is now Willis Engineering saying, we didn't know, so we gave them directions based on.
We told them to follow the existing gravity sewer and cut that distance each side of it.
but I got to agree with Daniel. I mean, I think we just need to do it and move on and learn from the experience here and make sure we get all the knowledge available if we have another project like this.
Can you tell me, has Willis done a post-mortem on what they could have done better?
Oh, there's always, I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years, and every job I said, if I'd known it, if I would have personally known it, we wouldn't be having this discussion. So,
So has this been added to a question you will ask in the future?
absolutely, along with hundreds of, absolutely. I mean, because this is just not industry standard, that you can look in that box, that inlet, and see a box, and it looks like your normal box, but typically pipes tie into that, and that didn't happen. It's kept on with the box.
So if they had made that cut, they still would have cut through the top of the box. If there was a box that had pipes coming off either end.
Yeah, but the thing is, no, that wouldn't have been a big deal. That would have been normally the box I'm talking about is like 4 feet long. So if this would have been a pipe, then it'd been dirt, and so making that saw cut would not have affected us for 150 feet. The thing is of course they did what they were told, or we don't really direct them on what steps go first and second, but they made the saw cut all the way down instead of sawing 10 feet, digging out, sawing 10 feet, because it's more cost efficient to go get somebody in here and saw the whole thing before they start digging out.
How much money do we have left over in the grant for future mistakes on this job?
There is probably $4,000 or $5,000 left. Of course, I think they're at their last manhole. In other words, we're at one more reach and we're done with the project. So,
And we've discovered some other things.
Yeah,
Right?
and
Didn't
we've-
get damaged or
yeah,
anything.
and we took care
Got
of
a
that
little
in this
puzzled.
change.
I mean, we had some
There's a lot of
lines.
damage that has not been,
What's that?
there's some other damage that has not been corrected.
Okay. Before the contractor, leaves,
Yeah, he is aware of that.
he's aware of some things, and some of them have been resolved. All of them may not have, but he is aware, and the contractor is aware there's some things that still has to be done to fix before he leaves the project. Before we'll do a walkthrough on the entire project before we release his retainage.
But that won't be a change order done.
No,
on
no,
that.
no,
That's
that's
Oh, I
just-
understand.
Yeah, it's just a normal process of
Clean
default
up.
project.
I just wanted to know how much money we had left if something else
Right,
happens.
yeah,
So we are at the last leg, but there's still
that's right,
room for error.
yes,
Hopefully not.
yeah.
So again, I would ask for a motion for this, us to accept this change order and learn from experience. Fred makes that motion. Have a second. Nicole seconds. All in favor? 2, 3, all right. And that is-
In
Thank y'all.
protest.
thank you, Paul. Now I get that signed.
Let me stop popping the windows on the
Oh, is that the contract?
Yeah. Okay, all right.
Lessons learned.
The next item is the sewer trunk invoices, and I hope you can read that. That last invoice,
157,882.93.
one, Vivian says it's 157,882.93. Okay. Of course, that is the grant.
So
monies.
this leaves how much would still be owed?
Five,
About 100?
I think they'll be down to 15,919.
yeah, I think it's at 15,919. I know that's kind of small writing, but it is for me anyway.
So we had talked about, there's a lot of work to be done on curb damage and paving, and we would withhold their final payment until that was done to our satisfaction. Is the payment that we would withhold $16,000?
Definitely would care about that.
Maybe I think they cut that pretty thin.
I would rather have.
Well, the final walkthrough, yeah,
I
will
would-
be done before it's approved.
I would, because there's so much work left to be done, to spread the paving of everything that they've done, I would rather have a larger dollar figure to make sure it's done right, that they are on the hook for.
So you're saying that instead of that amount, you would rather us pay a smaller amount on the invoice?
Until the project is complete, yes. So they haven't done any paving, they haven't, there's some, I believe they still have to dig some things up and recompact it.
Yes, a little bit on Church Street,
So there's a lot more than $16,000 worth of work to be
Yeah,
done.
they didn't clean
but
it
it's
back up.
still, they've got it figured into their cost.
I,
Yeah.
I did call Mr. Grubbs and talk to him about 3 weeks ago about the concern of the board and that he should discuss those concerns with his contractor and that we expected the city streets to be back the way they found them and the curbs. And so,
We're gonna have to go all the way up Church Street
right.
and down Clay Street where they brought everything out from the,
So this is
The gravel
effectively giving them the full payment minus $16,000 before they've done any repaving work.
Yes.
I don't want to do that, just speaking for myself. They have a lot of work to do before I'm willing to pay them for the rest of the job.
Yeah. Okay, so,
That, if I had that much work ahead of me and I only was leaving $16,000 behind, I would do it.
What is it?
yeah,
It's
that's,
$16,000.
What they want?
okay.
They want to receive
Uh,
157.
Yeah.
There's, like 131 of engineering fees. There's, 5,500, on the consolidated pipe fees. And, North Central is 11,705.
Clean up.
I would like to have at least $100,000 that is on the hook, that they get that check when the job is complete. Because it could cost that much to make the city whole if they ran away right now.
All of it,
They're bonding.
all of it is grandmother.
The,
All good, that's grandmother.
If they disappear without finishing the job, there's no grant
No
money left.
way.
well, of course, there's always the ifs, but, I don't think that would happen for several reasons. Of course, they do construction all over, and they would be ineligible doing any grant, and that's pretty good money for them.
It's gonna take 2 to 3 weeks for this money to even come in.
Yeah.
once we approve it.
Yeah. So, like I said, we are ordering the money from the grant, so to speak. We can withhold writing the check to them.
Right.
So
It takes
this-
2 to 3 weeks to
Okay.
get it.
This is not
We weren't aware of the
payment,
process.
okay, it's,
Fine. That's
One
what
thing
I'm
yeah,
to
it's,
make,
it's the
We're still waiting on the
invoices.
last money to come
Great.
in.
So we send invoices to the grant, so we could hold the money.
Okay,
Okay,
good.
that's fine.
And then, like I said, the whole board wants to meet with Carl and do the walkthrough to make everything's fine. I'm sure he would agree to that, the contractor would agree to that too.
So can
It
we,
would be great.
But we need to approve the invoice so we can get the money. We might could get the money.
contingent on it
Make
stays
dollar.
in the city's account until the job
Oh,
is
we
approved.
will, till the,
I'll make that motion.
okay, motion made and second from Nicole, all in favor? That's unanimous. Mr. Fox? You're next.
Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I'd like to shake hands with our new mayor. Me and Dr. Graham had something in common. Everyone knows that he was buried this past weekend. He shook hands with I think around 12 presidents. Now, imagine I'm the only one in here I shook hands with Mr. Henry. You know, you knew him when he was mayor. Well, I've been shaking hands ever since. But I still got the problem. Something tells me my day uncame. This mayor got a smile on his face. I want you all to look at these. Since won't nobody come over there to look, and I can't bring the place to you, so I brought you some pictures. Now, right where your right hand at, see all them pretty houses there, across the street. Look at that fence they pull that now. That's right crossing that house. That's what the fence looked like 20-some years ago there. The reason it's messed up, you know how wide that is. He promised he was coming back with iron rails.
So, Mr. Fox, have you signed the new lease?
No, sir. I want your mayor to come to my place where you can see what needs to be done. That's all I ask. I called Miss Snyder a couple weeks ago, asking me to come over. I need.
I made 2 trips down there and
But
not
you
called
have
you
to
at
call
the
me.
time.
I don't live down there. Just call that number.
Okay,
Everybody else, that's all I ask. Then we'll get to this. Ain't no need of discussing this until we see the place. Because I need to know there's something going on in this town. Those dump trucks not coming over there the way they should be.
probably haven't been rolling anywhere with the
Yeah,
weather
they be
lately.
rolling because I be rolling. There is another landfill where the electric company going. They never bring nothing no more. And his crew hardly ever come. Number one, something they need to be logging in a book every day what they have done and what they done.
Well, there's some items we have to take to the county because
I
we
understand
can't
that.
put them on you.
Let me
All the
ask you this,
rubbish.
where all that extra dirt been going that the city's been, that company been digging? I see they be leaving there with loads of stuff too.
That's
Contractor has
that's
their
their
own spot
con,
on
yeah,
that.
they got their own
Contractor has
spot.
their own
They are
spot.
contracted with another
But
trucking
I
company.
can't talk to Mr. Strong,
Well,
but
that's-
will you ask him where my dirt going?
The ones that covers up your stuff?
Yes, sir.
We've been trying to get out there, but again, with the weather, it's been kind of bad, you know.
Okay.
So
Well,
We'll get it dressed up and all.
I still don't understand. We're not, we should be, but we're not leasing land.
40 years you should be done with me. 40 years. Yes,
We've been leasing that land for
Yes.
40 years?
86.
32 years.
He-
So do you want to lease that land
I'm
to the city?
gonna lease it until I die, and then my children, or ever who I will it to, so you can forget. The last time, June the 6th, when I was here, I'm at home, and people here still discussing me. Every time I walk away from here, I ask you, is there anything else we need to discuss? And when you
Okay.
left, you voting to
Give us, one by one, what you want, so we can,
I want justice to come to Birch Street. That's what I want. That's Birch Street.
I mean,
I've
or
been
what do you-
at that land since '76. Junior Nixon them leased it from me before you all time.
So
And they promised me what they gonna do.
if I understand, you have some rental houses, is that right?
Yes, sir. They not over there.
Okay, when you rent a house to a person, they live in it, right?
Right.
So the city is trying to lease your land to use it for compostable stuff.
Supposed to been done in 10 years, but you can't dump everywhere. And they expect that to be, look, I was living in a house over there, which I'm still living. That's the tree house. Can't even walk around to the side, 'cause they won't put the dirt around it.
Is that on the land that the city is
It's all of
paying?
it, it's 26 and Sailmaker right there.
And is that what the city is leasing?
Yes, sir.
So why are you living on the land that we're leasing from you?
'Cause it's my land.
But are we
That
leasing
building
from
was
you?
there before, they were leasing. And they promised me what they gonna do, and they ain't sticking to it. I had to move in one of my rental houses, and I'm no dummy, not paying 600 and something a month. Live in my own house, and you all would've stuck to your word and did what you said on this paperwork about you on upgrade and everything. You read your own contract here?
The reason we're trying to get you to sign a new one is because that one expired.
Well, come visit me over on the place, and then we'll write down what needs to be done over there on the place. Not in our mouth, 'cause I done learned from city food, it's best to not take nobody's word no more.
I
All
agree.
I
What-
ask,
Should absolutely be
come,
written down.
look, huh?
I agree, it should absolutely be written down.
Yeah,
We put together a new version and gave it to you.
I know. We had the old asphalt over there to fix my road back. I got a trailer house, a little camper down at my fish pond, to drive my own van down there. To Mr. Stragan messed the road up. They bought, Larry sent some old asphalt over there to put down there. Since Larry been gone, Mr. Stragan done came over there and got all the asphalt. I'd be willing to bet you he know where he took it.
okay, well,
That was my asphalt.
okay, let's not
Been
point
over
any
that for
fingers,
4
but
years.
let's look at, getting this resolved, okay?
You can't get it resolved unless somebody goes
Well-
there and look.
Okay, when do you want?
Anytime you choose, anytime except between 9 and 10 tomorrow. I got a very important meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
But anytime after then, this young lady here know where to find me. She got my phone number.
Okay,
She been-
I will give you a call, and if one of y'all want to, we will go and look and see exactly
You
what.
get lost, you just turn before you get the
I
Fred White
know
House.
exactly where you are.
Okay then. If there's anything else, anybody else need to know.
I will give you a call.
Mr. Martin, I did come to your office. I got my paperwork. Anybody tell you?
No, and that's why I couldn't find it.
That's
That's why I wasn't with my stuff when I got over here. And I was like,
Oh,
I
you were
didn't.
looking for this?
But that's all right. As long as you have it, that's all I
Well,
wanted.
have it.
Good.
And I hate you can't come with them. Because you need to see what's going on over there.
Well,
I don't have to continue to come down.
We just give that work the bill.
Anything else?
Yeah.
So how we gonna make
Well, thank
We're
you.
not.
Anything else?
If he
No,
doesn't
sir, I will
want to
give
lease
you a
it to us
call
for
and
the money,
have a time
then
and
we
we can,
have to.
and bring my yellow pad. We'll-
I appreciate
Write it
it.
all down.
You all have a good evening.
Thank you. Before we move on, we left one thing off the agenda, and that was the claim docket approval.
I haven't written it in.
I think everybody has gotten it in advance. You have time to look over that. questions on the
What's
lame
the,
duck?
on page 2, what's the DPS fund? It says fines to state.
That's our court assessments we send in every month.
Okay.
Every quarter.
Okay.
That's a law, we don't have a choice.
Okay.
Give it to them.
Back on it. Any other questions or anything on it? Can I have a motion that we accept the claim document? Cinnamon and Nicole second. All in favor? It's unanimous. Ms. Mandy Beard, over here.
And we're just following up from the last meeting. I know we were tabled with the issue. We were just wondering if y'all had a chance to look over the contract. We're gonna be able to renew, we're gonna be able to get a new employee hired. We're just trying to follow up on everything.
There has been some debate about, because the way the hiring goes, you know, under whose supervision. So we have been discussing that. And I don't know if anyone has,
I think
Come
we have an application in
Yes.
there that we have to address
Yeah.
this evening.
yeah, we would have to go into executive. We do have an application, and we will address that if we go into executive session, because it is a personnel issue.
If you go into executive.
Well, we will go into executive session
Okay.
and discuss the personnel issue.
Okay, is there any questions y'all have for us prior to that? Because, I mean, do we need to be trying to get another contract drawn up? What are we needing? I'm just kind of at a loss.
I think there was some discussion about looking back over the contract and changing some items and things, and spelling out, making some things clear,
Okay.
such as who has the authority to bring a dog in. You know, that's been kind of loosely handled, I think. Technically, the only one that has that authority is police and Mike. And you know, we want to make sure that, you know, y'all can't just go pick a dog up and charge that to the city.
Code,
So we're,
code.
there's some other issues that I think they were discussing.
Can I explain why sometimes we've been the one to pick it up? Because Mr. Mike hasn't always been able to get there. Or the police, they can't put it in the car and bring it. So we have
If
to
they
pick it
call
up from
you,
the
that's
PD.
one thing, but if y'all on your own initiative pick one up, and I'll say it's hearsay, but I have heard that's happened. I can't prove that, I'm just saying it's hearsay.
Mhm.
But we need a way of documenting every dog that's city dog.
Agreed.
And I think that's a big problem that we don't have. Maybe part of that's our fault, part of it, but we need a way of documenting it. So we'll know, we're responsible for this animal, and we're not for this one over here. So that's some of the issues we're facing right now.
But- So the last invoice that you delivered, I saw that was paid.
We
It
paid.
was.
So the city is caught up with its current.
There's been one picked up since that check came in.
So a lot of what I heard from
No,
our
I'm sorry,
discussion.
3.
A lot of what I heard in our discussion 2 weeks ago was we need to figure out our own processes as the city. And then essentially, what do we look to Second Chance for? And I thought we were getting closer to an idea, but that contract right now, no offense to anybody who worked on it, is so long and has so much in it that is not the city's. The city has a specific responsibility to pick up stray dogs, and for a certain period of time,
Yes.
take care of them and give them the opportunity to be adopted.
Mhm.
But that's not, I don't think, in the city's purview to have a forever keep this dog. So figuring out where the city's relationship with the animal ends, and when Second Chance wants to help take care of it during the city's window, and then if they want to maintain taking care of it, how does the handoff work? Make sure it's clear and simple for everybody.
We don't, you can ask for space or how long they've been there, we've made that very clear. We don't expect the city to take care of that dog, whether they be there the 5 days, as it currently states, or the 2 years that one may be there. Once y'all's 5 days is up, I get that, we're not asking for long-term care. But it is, you know, we would like to try to get some kind of contract, have some help there, because we all work, and I'm not able to be there every morning. Right now, we're having to go in the evenings, after work, on weekends, and do everything, and that's fine. But we are in desperate need of help, and that's putting it mildly, or at least an answer of what can be done.
Right.
Direction.
I don't want to speak for, I believe the conversation was going in the direction of there is intent to hire someone to be able to, for 4 hours a day, as they have been, feed and water and clean in 4 hours a day. That is, I believe that's the intent, to figure that out. Finding the person and finding out, so our police chief wasn't aware that that person actually is on his payroll until about a month ago. So figuring out the chain of responsibility and all that, so there's we're talking a lot about it, and the intent is to get to that point. I believe.
Right.
Is that right?
Because the old policy with the city was 5 days, and then we were through with that one. And of course, I understand y'all's, the way y'all feel about euthanization of animals. But maybe we could, we talked about even extending our time, maybe a little past the 5 days to help you more. But again, like you said, we've expressed, we can't do it for 30 days on every animal, you know. So at some important time, we will turn it over to y'all. We've got to figure that out from our end.
I know when the first contract was drawn up, Mr. Larry and myself and Melissa and Mr. John Crow met. I'll discuss, I mean, do we need to schedule something like that? I don't know how y'all are wanting to
I really don't think
get
so.
this set up.
Because it's our contract with y'all, but, you know, I hate to say so, it would not be a one-way contract, of course. We need input from both sides, but I think we need to have our contract and see if y'all agree with it, really.
Okay.
Do we have a timeline of when we think we can get that together?
That's what
Well,
would be.
again, if we go into executive, if we do hire somebody tonight to help them, that would at least relieve that part of it. But we'll discuss that in executive session about the hire.
Would we
Yeah,
know
if somebody will
decision
notify
like
you.
tomorrow?
You can
If y'all
call
decide
the city.
tonight?
You can call off tomorrow.
I text you.
Okay.
Somebody
Okay.
about that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. William Shaw, are you here? Evidently, this got resolved.
I like those guys.
Miss Jenny McFarley?
So well, first of all, I wanted to talk about the North End Park. I guess that's what it's called.
City Park.
City Park. Well, the first thing I was gonna say, actually, y'all fixed yesterday, so thanks for that. The pole that was off its thing for like several weeks, which was an attractive nuisance lawsuit waiting to happen if anyone got injured. But so what I really wanted to talk about was we've lived here for 3 years, close to that park. I've been taking my son there. And in the 3 years we've been here, that the big twisty slide has had like a huge gaping hole in it and been boarded up, like for the entire 3 years and hasn't been fixed. And I mean, as y'all know, if any of you have been to the park, it's kind of in disarray. You know, all the plastic is cracking. It's kind of an eyesore, especially on Main Street, because I feel like it represents the town in so many ways. With the watermelon carnival there, and one of the first things you see. So that was the first thing, is I feel like it really needs new play equipment, which I understand is expensive, and money is tight, but something that, you know, maybe y'all are looking into. The lady I talked to when I called mentioned. But the second thing I wanted to tell you about and talk about was that my son and I play there fairly frequently, and in the time that I've lived here, both I and my husband have found used condoms at the park, like several times, both of us. And when I brought this up to some of the mom friends that I have, they were like, oh yeah, we found used condoms at the park as well. And one mom told me she has to like get out of her car and check the whole park, that park and Baker Street Park, before she'll let her son play there because it's happened to them so often. So I don't know that there's a solution to that. Maybe someone could go like check in the mornings, maybe more lights could go up, maybe someone could drive around the area at night, but I just feel like that's a health hazard. It's
Definitely.
gross and it's a bad reflection on the city when anyone
Absolutely.
visits.
I think everybody would agree with that.
I don't see why the park personally can't be closed after a certain time.
It is technically, but
But is there a gate up that's shut and locked?
The fence is 4 feet high.
I'll address the first part about the equipment. We are talking about a grant for that.
I've actually, I mean, I was elected in May, and we took office in July, and in August, I've actually looked into 3 different grants because I was one of the members 20 years ago to get the now dilapidated equipment put in. So I'm familiar with the park, very familiar with the park, not familiar with
Yeah. Okay.
the other things. But I've been actively looking at that. There are several grants that I'm looking into. I actually made contact with the state government and asked, could I personally, outside of being an alderman elected official, start a GoFundMe page, and they said that that would not be a conflict of interest.
That's great.
So I've talked to a lot of mothers, they're probably in your group, and it is concerning. Nicole and I have discussed it several times. We've got 4 or 5 parks that we're responsible for, and we're trying to upgrade all of them. But there is money. Vivian told me, I think about 3 months ago, we talked about that. We're going to look, and there's a little money in the budget, and then you know how those government grants can really boost a small town with little income. But I think the GoFundMe page, people who are interested and excited about getting things nice and clean again, would not have a problem donating to that cause. They said as long as I could track where the money went, I don't have a problem with that. Then that's probably something that I'm going to initiate. It's just trying to wait for us to have a full board. And it's just been a really handicap for us to be working with not full staff capacity.
Absolutely.
But thank you so much for your
Yeah,
concerns
thank
and
you for
letting
your
us
interest.
know.
Thank you for coming
We'll
and
definitely-
pointing out some things
Great.
that
Thank
we
you so
really
much.
didn't know about.
How bright is the light over the city park?
Obviously not bright enough.
Yeah.
Well, you have the lights, but
It's bright in some places, it's dark in some
Dark in other
places.
places.
So there's an area of the park on the east side of the gazebo where they were having certain things going on. They actually ripped out the bench there. There's no seating there. They ripped out all of the shrubbery. They took all the landscaping up to try to open that area up even more for officers that are patrolling, people like me who are always constantly trying to make sure our city is safe and protected, so we can actually see up into that area. I mean, all of that was done because people were hiding behind those little bushes there. So
it gets
I don't know
back
what
to a
else
lot
we
of
could-
our problems, you know. Our citizens have got to help us. I mean, our police can only be so many places. But again, you know, we got some information tonight that I certainly didn't know about. I mean, we were talking with Steve Russell about a grant for some equipment. But the other problems, you know, if you see somebody doing something, we've got to, you know, step up and be a good citizen, you know. and
call
Call the,
somebody
you know,
to
call
let
the
them know.
police
Yeah.
department, you know. It's our park, you know.
Yeah.
and It's gotta be safe.
So inappropriate activity needs to be reported.
Absolutely. I mean, that is illegal. Period. But we'll move on from that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Shan? This is Shan Crosco.
I just want to make a little comment. What she was talking about, I am a member of the Automatic Garden Club,
and we have discussed that project as well, so you may have some of that citizen help that you know.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm Shannon Carrasco, this is Sharon Savage. I do have some handouts that I'm gonna give everybody. Do some streets. As you know, this is our third year to, first of all, thank you for letting us come in and talk to you. I appreciate that time. I also want to express my sympathy to you as well.
Thank you.
This is our third year to have done a benefit fundraiser to raise money for St. Jude. It was a huge success. We raised just a little over $6,000. As a matter of fact, it was $6,078.25. And the first thing that we would like to ask the board for your consideration is we would like to take as much money as possible to St. Jude. So we are asking you to waiver that rental fee on the auditorium. So whenever we would love to take that $6,000 is what we'd like to take. But if we have to pay the rental fee, it's gonna put us under $6,000. So when we give St. Jude that check, we would like to say this is from the city of Water Valley as well. So if we could get that fee waived, we would be able to do that. So that would be something that I would like for y'all to consider as well. The auditorium, this is our second year to do the pageant at the auditorium up there. And we just feel like that it's really needs some big time improvements. And if you will see, I have several that's been listed here. And we just think that as many people that we have that come in from all areas of the state of Mississippi, that we need something that we can really be proud of. We need something that will make them want to come here. As we also think that if we can have some improvements to that auditorium, you know, maybe some of the people from like Oxford would come down and maybe put on plays that would help enhance, you know, just give them a place, a cheaper place to come and do some of their projects as well. That will also help bring a lot of people into the town as far as shopping goes, eating at the restaurants. And so I know that that auditorium was built like maybe in the 1960s. And I'm not sure, when was it built? 80s?
70s or 80s. I mean, I remember the restaurant under the hill, so
Yeah.
it can't be that. I
Because you're not that
I
old.
wasn't born then.
Okay, but anyway, the point is, since that auditorium has been built, hadn't been a lot of improvements done, and so we just feel like that it needs to be upgraded. For one thing, we do not have any wheelchair accessibility there. And
To the stage, right?
Right.
Okay, you have it to the building.
I thought there was a back door. They just said the back doors that comes right into the back.
So how can you walk around to the back door? Is it all concrete around it? What if their wheelchairs get stuck in the grass?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's one of the
This
problems.
past week, the rain was so bad and we had trouble getting our people that were in wheelchairs into the back because of the mud. I mean, you would gotten stuck if your car went around there or a truck.
And not only that, but if it's raining outside and you've got people coming up for pageants, do you really want to get your hair wet or your makeup done? It's going to make the mascara run off. You have several people that come to these things. And actually, I have some people that's coming up from different areas, not only in Mississippi, but in out-of-state things for future things. That I'm hoping to come and expand this town and also help with the small businesses. Actually, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Victoria Henley from America's Next Top Model. I'm actually talking to her about coming and hosting a fashion show here to where she brings people from all over the U.S. down here to come to this small town because they love small towns. They never get to see things like this up north. this
Well,
can boost y'all's economy
it
greatly.
really can, and it also gives everybody the opportunity to see what we have here. We have some great eating places, and and they're here, they're gonna shop, they're gonna walk the streets. So we really need to make some improvements to that auditorium. I mean, the curtains are bad, they're dirty, and they're torn, and they're stained.
Okay.
Just a lot of improvements, as you can see, what I have listed on here, and just some of those would be good. Michael can tell you that he even had to help our lady that was in the wheelchair, he even had to help her
Yeah.
with the
I think we all agree, but money is a problem for a lot of things, of course.
How much is the rental fee?
$200.
And does your organization, does it function as a nonprofit?
It's nonprofit. Everything goes to St. Jude. I'll be glad to give you the phone number. You can call and check us out. This was the third year that we've done this, and everything that we raised went to St. Jude. Everything.
Well, I
We
mean,
even pay some of the expenses out of our own pocket.
Are we our own nonprofit organization to give the money to St. Jude, like a 401c3, is that it?
Are you a 501c3 or are
No,
you
we are
officially?
not right now because whenever we went to apply for that, they said because it is for an actual organization that is like that, we can't personally call ourselves that. Because I did try to apply for that.
And there's a fee to get that, it's like $750.
So they said just because we're donating money to St. Jude, we didn't need to have that.
All we want to do is have something fun. We need everybody in this room to be a contestant, whether you're male or female. It's a fun project that we do, and we need, this city needs to get behind us whenever we have this pageant, because St. Jude needs this money. They really do. It's a fun thing. It's not a Miss America thing. Come, have a good time. We have entertainment. And we just want to raise money and give it to we just want to raise money and give it to St. Jude, but we would like our auditorium to really be a little bit more upgraded.
Do we know how much, because from the budget, how much we make from all of our rental properties? How much does the auditorium earn for the city each year?
Well, considering the work we had to do on it, with the heating and everything this past, we didn't make the money back we spent on that for sure. I mean, so, you know, if you did a profit loss, we lost. Plus we have to, you know, Michael has to be there to open, close and stuff like that too. So,
And Michael does a wonderful job.
events a year, I would think, roughly.
yeah.
Well, let me ask
But-
you this, does the school use it?
Yes, ma'am.
The school use it a lot. Why can't y'all go for an educational grant for the student arts?
Will you write it for us?
It's,
I can try to
well,
help.
it's,
I have some people, I was actually really good friends with the girl that did the Oxford Film Festival too. They would love to have a small part come out.
I'd love to see it upgraded.
I mean, I think everybody would.
Everybody
But
would, but
again, the
we're
problem
looking at a
is,
budgetary
you got to,
Yeah, well,
I'll talk
hey,
to my friends
let's
at Ole Miss
figure
and
out, let's do a
everywhere
5K run or something. You know, usually those things bring in a lot of money, or some kind of a hunting or fishing rodeo of some kind.
Well, there's all kinds of banquets that happens in Oxford that I'm very well familiar with, and I'm familiar with a lot of the people around Ole Miss that can help us out, do several grants like that, ask them how we can go about doing something like that to help this town. And I mean, it goes for schools, it also goes for our own community. There's tons of things that you can do just to that auditorium alone to make it get upgraded some, not even just the way it is, but I mean, you can end up, here's another way you can end up making money. If y'all work, of course, a lot of things do cost money, but kind of like at Oxford, they have a day in the park where they have movie nights. Something that you can do is y'all can install something across the ceiling to where it actually pulls down a screen and get a projector, and y'all can end up charging fees and stuff to keep kids off the streets. You know where they're at, they're with family time, and it also helps raise money for this community.
So I'd love to brainstorm about this, probably not here.
yeah.
I can send you, I have a business plan to set up a theater. The cost to show even public domain movies makes it impossible to make any money. The companies that own the licenses to every film, even the ones that have been out for over 50 years, you have to pay them 50% of your take after you pay them $200 to $1,800 for the privilege of putting, we ran movies on Main Street about 8 years ago, and it cost us an arm and a leg, even though it was free. And
Well, I'll talk with the and that, see what we can do as well.
but that, if, I would love to hear
Let's-
ideas
Yeah,
of
I
how
don't
we
think this
can-
is, to really take up all the time tonight to brainstorm, but certainly, I think everybody agrees things need to be done. We
I'll
also
be
know
glad to
that our
paint.
budget years,
I'll be glad to paint, I can paint. But I mean, just have some volunteers maybe that could go up and do some repair
Build
work,
some
paint.
ramps or, at least get it wheelchair accessible
Yeah.
to the stage.
At least fix the door that was broken last year.
Yeah, there's a broken door.
I mean, it was still broken this
But
past year.
But
I mean,
anyway,
there's a
All right.
lot that could be
All right.
done.
We
Thank
certainly
y'all.
take all this, thank y'all
you
for
for
coming.
listening.
Yes,
I
yes.
appreciate it. And maybe if we just do one thing ever so often, eventually we'll get it done.
Thank
I'm
you so
willing to
much.
paint
Thank you.
or real carpet or whatever we need to.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for listening. I appreciate it.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I had to work today, so all this stuff came through this afternoon in emails, and I have not had time to review it.
I will say, as far as the fees, we've never made an exception. I don't mean that y'all can't make one, but if we make one for one organization, we'll never collect another fee. I'm not big on exceptions. I think I agree, St. Jude's is wonderful.
I would have agreed if it was a tax exempt organization, because
Yeah,
then we
they're not
can set a
tax
policy, but if there's.
But we have many people come to us
Right.
wanting to use it for something,
Right.
Well,
and we don't
Start with
accept.
one.
they
They're gonna
want
have to continue.
improvements, but at the same time, they don't wanna pay for use of the space, so how are we gonna make money to make improvements on the property?
And, like I said, again, that goes back to one of those things, everybody would agree, it's got to be,
Yeah.
it needs to be improved, it
I'd
needs
like
to be
to bolt
maintained.
down the seats that flip over if you lean back.
Yeah.
Takes money to do it. Okay, Nate, you're up.
I'll speak quickly. So we have this in our packet for our legal purpose. I presented this to our county supervisors. Written into the state statute, we are allowed to have a program where if someone comes and invests money into a building or a business, a new one, if they put up a new muffler shop, or if they fix up a building, they would get reassessed by our assessor as soon as that's done. And if the property value goes up a certain amount, we could delay when they start paying new taxes. So this is an opportunity not to give away any current revenue for the city, but kind of as honey to get people to come here and spend some money. We can say, we won't start taxing you right away. And today, if you call the Mississippi Department of MDA,
Development.
and, yeah, Mississippi Development Authority, thank you. They will provide you with a list of cities in Mississippi that have these programs. And there's a lot of space where you can essentially pick up to 7 years of, you can delay someone's higher tax bill for 7 years, or you can delay it 20% over 5 years. Oxford is probably the strictest. We're in 4 years. By the 4th year, you're paying on your new higher assessed value, but it takes 4 years to slowly get you there. And today, if somebody is shopping to put in a new business or expand, and they go across the state to look at what would be the best place to go, Water Valley isn't on this list. And I'd like to propose that we put together a simple, if someone is willing to invest the money, we will delay the impact of higher taxes on them for
On
a
the
certain period of time.
improvements.
On the
Yeah,
improvements.
so that's,
So if they have a property that's worth $100,000, they have a tax bill of whatever that is. If they spend another 30 on it, we would say, you don't pay taxes on that 30 in the first year. The second year, maybe you pay 20% higher taxes, and over 5 years, you're now paying taxes forever on a property that's worth $130,000. So our revenue is going up. We're just making it less painful for someone who is trying to either start or grow a business.
We're not losing what we didn't have.
Right.
Right.
But I would love,
Encouraging
At
investment.
the time.
I would love to, one, have Water Valley be on this list, and two, have this be something that is in Bob Tyler's back pocket. Anytime we go and we want both one or two do more here, or any of us are out talking and we can say, if you come to Water Valley, we're going to be helpful. We're a friendly place to come. And anyone who invests in Water Valley, whatever time period you pick, if it's 5 years, that invests 20% over 5 years, that will be new revenue for Water Valley forever after those 5 years.
May I make a comment? on
Yeah,
this?
go ahead, Nick.
I'd like to support what Kagan's saying, and I'll give you an example, a very comparable example to Water Valley. Dalton, Mississippi, is a town very much like Water Valley, same size, and same relationship to Tupelo to Oxford. And they have same challenges we have. And they've recently enacted this ordinance, or an ordinance along these lines. And I haven't seen the actual ordinance, but I can get a copy of it. And what it does is, if you do improvements over $25,000, the assessment is frozen for 7 years. What controls to do that, I don't know the specifics on it, but I know that's the threshold of improvement. And it's a very small, but people pay attention to those type of incentives. So I would say I've seen those in other places, and they do tend to work. And it's worth,
Yeah.
I think this board is looking into that.
Yeah, I think if, like Mickey just said, if you start with the threshold where they would have to spend that amount or above
Right.
to qualify.
So, and these are super simple. If you look, so I highlighted on mine.
Yeah,
Every one of those is a city's entire policy, 4 lines, and they all have a minimum amount. So it's not if someone puts a new roof on their property, that's not going to do it. But if they make a material investment, then we're not going to kick them right after they do that. We're going to give them a little time to get their feet back under themselves.
why don't you put together some ideas, bring it to us, and if the board approves those ideas, then we'll get Daniel to do it as an ordinance so that we can follow the proper steps.
Can I do a quick poll? Just it would be easier.
And
Sure.
all these on this list, I do believe they are Main Street, they're Main Street towns as well.
Yes. So you need a district. You need to specify the area, and we already have a district
Yeah, we have
that
a-
Main Street established. I would propose 5 years with a 20% increase in their taxes over the 5 years, if that,
Of the improvements, yes.
Yeah, the improvements.
Yeah. So 5-year vesting. And I would put a minimum, how do people feel about, so some of these are as low as $15,000, some of them are higher.
It's a big difference.
Yeah, they swing all over the place.
You look at size towns.
I personally think 40 is a good number. I don't know why, but 40
Did you
is in
spend
there.
40 on something?
Nah. But I mean, with all the renovations that I don't know, you're way more familiar with this than I am, but I mean, you can do casual renovations to your house and never hit 40.
Right.
Right.
I would want it a little lower so that I
Well,
really,
this
I don't.
35 is in Cleveland, and they've got a bigger population, and they have the university there.
Like I said, Baldwin does the
I was
threshold.
gonna ask you what Baldwin was, is it 35?
25.
25.
So the thing, like what's happening at Superlube, I think that's wonderful. And I hope he's not thinking of his higher tax bill, but that's what I thought the first time I saw him expand it.
And
haven't
you share
crossed
the
his
tax
mind.
assessment, ding, 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 right?
So I'd like to see projects like that. And those are probably in the 25, I don't want to range, but if
I
we
could
did
live
a
with
25,
25? Yeah, 25 sounds good.
because that's not HVAC and a roof, but that's a material change.
They had to hit that threshold before they would qualify.
Yes, and how about process? I kind of would like this to go through, if we are clear about what it requires, that they go through the planning commission to have these. They usually have to be pre-approved. You don't get to come in and say, I already did this. So it would be a pre-approved process. They
Right.
tell us what you're gonna do, and you get approved for that project. And that could go through the planning commission.
Yes,
Yeah.
it would have to, really.
And what would be our threshold for the amount of tax exemption? The max?
if someone wanted to come
Put a
and,
cap on it.
and invest, do $1 million worth of improvements, in 5 years, we'll be taxing them on that $1 million. I don't really want to have an amount that we would say, no, no,
Yeah.
no.
Just asking, because some of these do.
Yeah, the Oxford one is kind of strange.
Yeah,
But I
they're,
think
they're
they
little,
can.
they're different.
They're stringent on
Okay, so if I write all that up, bring it next meeting,
that. Yeah.
we can look at it.
Everybody can look at it, like I said,
Thank you.
then y'all vote on it, approve it, we'll get Daniel to do the ordinance on it.
I actually heard about this at, one of the Main Street, meetings that I went to. I thought it was a really great idea. So thanks for bringing that to our attention, Taylor.
All right, with the Good Friday holiday, March 30th.
We used to do
You
that.
used to call that-
We used to do it in April, but
Yeah.
years ago, but I just want to know that we had changed it. Years ago, we were allowed to change one day.
Yeah.
You can't add one, but you
State.
couldn't change one of them.
Yeah, it's kind of- We just need to put that in the minutes, I suppose, because it's,
I just want to know that we had it.
yeah, it's
That's fine.
it's
So
a
we're-
governor thing.
We're swapping them out, or we're changing the name?
We're swapping them out.
Swapping.
Swapping
Yeah,
them out.
swapping.
Which we've done it for years, but I just want
Yeah,
y'all to know
it
why
needs to
we
be in
did
the
it
Trading
minutes.
instead of
Confederates Day for
for
Good Friday.
We no longer do the one in April.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. Daniel, the planning commission, bylaw update.
All right, so I went through and just made some, does everybody have their copies? Okay. I went through and just made the standard changes where it was just obvious to the city of Water Valley. However, I'm gonna go through some of the other changes I did. Section 1, each alderman will appoint a city of Water Valley resident who is also a registered voter from his or her ward. All right, that's a given. And then in the old one, it said the mayor and the board and the alderman at large shall appoint a sixth one. And I just thought it was weird that the alderman at large got to pick two. So I just let that one be the mayor's pick.
Yeah.
All right. All right, each member of the commission shall be appointed for a 4-year term to coincide with the elected term of the person whom appointed him or her. That's a change.
Makes sense.
This is a change. Any commissioner who misses unexcused 3 consecutive regular meetings shall be subject to dismissal by vote of the Board of Aldermen. It was just the commission themselves, but I think it should be the people who appointed them's decision on whether they get fired or not. If it, let's see.
Can you fire someone from a non-paid position? I think
Technically,
that's-
dismissed maybe,
Sounds more fun or more fun than getting fired. This is one that I thought was odd, and so I didn't change it, but I think it should be changed, but of course I didn't want to without y'all's approval. But the officers shall be elected to serve for 1 year. No person shall be eligible to hold the office of chairman or vice chairman for more than 2 full consecutive years. I don't understand that prohibition.
That's often standard in boards, that you rotate the officers.
Yeah, but I mean, in the small town boards, most folks don't want to be the president. I mean, it's going to be hard to find. I mean, if y'all want to leave it there, that's fine. I just thought it was weird.
I'd like to rotate the responsibility.
Okay. Well, Section 8, the city attorney shall be available to the commission for advisory matters upon the request of the Board of Aldermen. Frankly, I didn't want them calling me up thinking something's important and you guys be like, what did you spend 4 hours with them for?
yes.
Okay.
We didn't approve that expenditure.
Right.
Sorry, Daniel.
Let's see.
Section 1, did you say officers, and then I had stricken out chairman pro tem instead of officer because it matched something else in the,
I'm not sure.
yeah, I'll ask you later.
Let's see.
On page 3, Daniel,
Yes, sir.
section 1,
All right.
meeting shall be scheduled for the first Monday of every month. That had been 3rd, but,
I done it wrong too.
I mean, I don't have a preference, I don't know if they do or not. you
I'd
know?
ask them before we,
Right.
whoever's serving now, if they've already are used to
We
it.
could correct it to what we're currently doing.
We, it's the 3rd Monday?
Yeah.
Is that
Instead of
what-
the first.
it's still the 1st?
Currently the 3rd.
Yeah. And the ones that are on there probably gotten used to maybe,
Right.
All right.
if there's something that comes up.
I did add or tweaked these last two sentences. All meeting of that section, all meetings of the planning commission shall be open to the public and shall be subject to the Mississippi Open Meetings Law. They were already, whether they knew or not. Each and every meeting shall have an agenda which shall be posted on the bulletin board at City Hall and a conspicuous place at any other place deemed necessary by the commission or the Board of Aldermen. So if y'all want to do it anywhere else in the county, y'all can. However, it just posting it out there, and it can be extremely simple.
Is there a deadline for that, or is it right before the meeting?
I didn't think that much into it, but I mean, obviously I did, but I didn't. If you want to put something in there, that's fine.
I'd like it to be before the meeting, so that people get in the
Yeah,
habit.
well, I think what the current process is, unfortunately, it lands on Vivian again, for people to contact her, and then she has to reach out to all the members of this committee and say if you're gonna have a meeting or not, and who is on the agenda. So we might wanna shift that, responsibility over to the committee itself, so they can take care of themselves.
Yeah, see, that should be
I don't have a problem
being
with that.
done by the secretary of the commission itself, and not by you,
Yeah.
I
frankly.
have no problem with that.
I mean, the problem will be getting whoever the secretary is to understand that
It's
that's,
Andy
Yeah.
Foster, I don't think.
The,
no, he won't.
being able to contact.
The next one might,
The next
but,
one.
but Mr. Eddie won't.
Make sure they could be contacted,
Yeah.
maybe give it, if he's willing to put his email or something out
They
there.
could set up a generic email,
Well, there's,
He doesn't know.
no reply.
It's a business email.
But that, so if that's the duty of the secretary, I would ask, and I imagine they don't want something coming up on Monday afternoon to be on their agenda.
Well, that's
Maybe
what-
not, because they would probably want
In the
time to
past,
research
we
it.
always
There's
cut
really
it
no-
off
there's no
by,
point to-
by usually Friday at noon for that, usually
Yeah.
is what they asked me to do.
I mean, I can incorporate the
That was in the past.
agenda policy of the city into this by just reference.
That would work.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're meeting once a month, yeah.
Because, I mean, if it's Friday at noon, do they have time in that last 4 hours to go
If they need to go
check
to a
things or
public
pull,
record or
pull
something.
records or
We
pull?
could even do it Thursday like that.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, that would be
better
a
really
little
for
bit
them.
more heads up
Yeah.
for 'em.
I agree
So
with
if they
that.
follow, and then, so the getting on the agenda would be the same, but
Uh-huh.
instead of contacting
Vivian.
Vivian, they would be contacting the secretary.
Secretary.
Make a note real quick.
That'll help you, won't it?
Yes, it will.
And just-
You can just have that email, you can print out cards and just say, talk to them.
Yeah.
Any other changes in there? Like I said?
Yes, sir, there's,
The speaking times.
so section 7, the preparation of the agenda will be the duty of the secretary. It says they'd be available to the commission members at least 2 days prior, but I'll make that mesh with the other. Each speaker is limited, it did have, I think, 2 or 3 minutes, and I changed it to 5 minutes. You can't discuss anything in 2 or 3 minutes, not if you're in a planning commission. So I changed that to 5 minutes. And then I think the other one, I think an organization had 5, I extended that to 10. And then, all right, the last one, which is the big one. The building inspector appointed by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Water Valley shall be a point of contact of the planning commission for the general public. It's not to say it's the only contact, it's just one of them. And shall be able to present issues, projects, and plans presented to him by the general public for consideration by the commission. The building inspector shall not be a member of the commission and shall not have a vote. If I'm not mistaken, the old one said that he had a vote, and that didn't make sense to me.
That's right.
He may be assigned by the commission to research or investigate certain matters assigned to him by the commission for their further consideration and study. So basically, they have the authority to say, we need you to find this out for us. Go check it out and get back to us next month.
I like it.
I like
think
it too.
it needs to go along with the job description of the building inspector.
Yes, absolutely.
When we get that.
And I didn't make any changes to the last 2 pages, which is just,
Just for the start.
So do we
I think
want
I
to
just swap
adopt
that.
this with the changes we've discussed and that Daniel,
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
Does it have to be, run?
No.
Okay, because it's just policy,
It's just
right?
bylaws.
That's the
Okay.
bylaws.
So,
I'll make the motion that we adopt with these changes.
with the changes, Kagan makes a motion, Nicole seconds, all in favor? That's unanimous. Is that on the plan for this year? Okay. While we're on that, just your nomination, Fred brings a name to replace his other one of Joe Turner, to replace the other person on the planning commission.
His real good name.
Yeah. So Fred makes that as a motion to put Joe Turner on the planning commission. Do we have a second to that? Nicole seconds. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous.
Do we have a full committee now? Or we still?
We're
No.
still waiting on the
Someone?
at-large.
No, that
That's
large.
right, That large.
And we still trying to figure out who, is on there that was appointed by whom. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Because, we had some lap over, but I think one of them was in a replacement from the mayoral appointee. I do know that the one that resigned was the alderman at large. When we get back full board, we'll make sure then. And even if we have to add one for the next 3 years or whatever, and then next go around, should be smooth. Should be.
So right now, we have 4 or 5 sitting on the planning
That would
commission.
put us back at 5. All right, you've got one,
Got one.
you've got one, you have one, 4, and there's another one, so that's 5. So we're one short.
Because Lynn's gonna stay on, right?
Last I talked to her, she said she was staying on and your dad was staying on. And I believe your dad was the mayoral appointee. If
Yeah, that's right.
I tried to trace back through minutes and best as we could decipher that was right. So,
Because Lynn was Ward 3,
Ward 3 appointed.
so Daddy was Ward.
Okay.
I'll be quick again.
Yeah, the audit, folks.
So I did my homework.
That last one was a shocker.
Yeah, so
Too much.
so our discussion in our last meeting about, we've had the same person conducting our audits for the last 10 or 15 years, with no thought that he wasn't doing a great job, but just having some fresh eyes come and look at our books. It was my homework to get quotes. And so I received 4 quotes that came in on time. And they range from $13,500 to $28,000 to $32,000. Each of them, the $20,250 is a firm in Oxford. This is Eddie Arney, works at this firm, if anybody knows the Arney family. I've had some personal experience, they're a good firm. The 18.5 is from a firm in Batesville, who lots of people have nice things to say about. The $13,500 quote is from a company in Greenwood. I called the company that is currently conducting the county's audits, and that is with Mr. Tom Winton, who is not taking on any new work and wants to retire. And the company that he works with is, there are 2 folks there. They also are booked solid. But this is a company that also works in Greenwood and came highly recommended by the accounting firm that's working for the county. And this last one came highly recommended by my friend the mayor of Kosciuszko. He is conducting the city of Kosciuszko's, which is a town of 7,000, much larger budget than ours. They get their audits done for 17,000 and change. For some reason, our quote
Wow.
is significantly higher. I didn't bother to go back and ask why. But that, I thought, we don't have to get bids, but I wanted us to see the spectrum. Currently, we're paying $12,900 for audit. I would like, just for the sake of fresh eyes
Definitely.
to move over, and I would propose that we go with this bid of 13,500.
Why?
Why this company or why
Yeah.
fresh eyes?
Yeah. Why the Freddie Hive?
Because whenever you're doing something every year, looking at the same numbers, it's easy to get used to seeing numbers. And if you have anybody who edits your writing, it's always good, and it's good business practice to have somebody else look at what
Somebody
you're doing.
call the city.
It's going to cost $600 more than we've been paying.
Is this a firm quote?
Yep, they did the same thing, that they would commit to that number for 3 years, which was similar to what we had seen with our current.
I want to know why folks on to the book. You don't know the figures. Sometimes they have not been broken. You don't have to flip in that. They have not been broken.
This is similar to our electric department was just encouraged by TVA to find a new firm. It's a very standard practice to move your business when you're looking at accounting, so that people are checking each other. It's why every one of these companies has put in a letter of accreditation from, they all have to be audited by another firm, because all accountants want to be second guessed.
And most other entities, municipalities are an exception to the rule, where they are forced by law to use a different accountant every few years. We're the exception to that rule. For example, the school system, they're forced to change, simply based on, you need somebody else looking at the numbers, you know.
I do agree.
So we could go back to Mr. Wyndham
In 3 years.
in 3 years.
Right.
But I'd like to see this as a best practice move, that we just start rotating our expert folks, our professionals that we pay to watch our back.
Are you bringing this in the form of a motion? Or
Yeah, so I was going to make a motion that we move forward with the company in Greenwood, which would be relatively close to what we're paying today.
and this FTNC? Fred Neely?
Fred Neely.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Did you happen to talk to anybody else that have used these services for municipal work?
This, in here they have the reference sheet.
Okay.
And this is the company that I talked with the folks that are doing our reviews, the audit for the county, and they spoke very highly of this firm. It's a,
So they've worked for the county?
this
Yes,
one has
one.
not worked for our county.
That's not. But this one has. Watkins, Ward, and Stafford has done the Aldershot School District.
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty extensive.
Yeah, I know.
There- And some of these, so the folks in Oxford, who I can speak very highly of, Mr. Awning is the person that I've had experience with, and they have a very impressive resume based on who they're working for now, but it would be a change of about $7,000 to move to them.
Instead of moving forward and selecting one tonight, can we table this and come back to it? To give us a chance to read through each one and
Has been
No.
by August.
to be able to make an informed decision?
Absolutely. So these, all of these, there was some urgency because the contracts, so the filing date is what Mr. Wyndham's contract said, it would be submitted by September 15th,
Yeah.
but work would not start until the 1st of July. Everyone I talked to said, we can't do anything, it's tax season.
Right,
And so I read Mr. Wyndham's contract, and he also says, I won't start until July.
right.
Okay.
So I think we have until July to decide.
Okay.
But 4 quotes, please take your time and read them.
Okay, so you would just withdraw your motion
Sure,
right now?
I'll withdraw my motion.
Then, again, we'll just table that and
Yeah.
read through all of them, and then
Yeah.
we'll come back and address it later.
Y'all decide by May.
Okay.
Because I don't want them to
In
over,
our next March meeting.
That's true.
we don't want them to commit to other projects, because we've been waiting until the last
You
second.
wanna,
Do we have time
you
to,
wanna say let's put
wait
it
till
on
next,
our next
board
March meeting
Sure,
in 2 weeks?
bring it back.
or does it have to be,
Be able to read through it and
that's,
I think it's great.
know
that's
what we're
election.
voting on here.
Yeah, I do too.
So, Ms. Vivian, can we add this as something we will vote on to the agenda for next?
Yes, I've marked it as
Okay,
such.
Daniel made a good point that they may book up.
Yeah, and plus they do start collecting, even though they say they don't work on, they do start collecting stuff.
Oh,
items from
materials.
it.
Next
Yeah,
March, yeah.
numbers.
Okay.
Thank you. And everyone has copies? All of these?
Yes.
And I would call them, or call, they're all very interested in doing it,
Okay.
so they're chatty.
We put that on the public, we'll make the next
Interesting.
board meeting the public, or we have to have a second.
Except for the one that quoted 28,000, he did not want to be on the phone.
Maybe you just said that so you.
All right. The next item is, we have to advertise for a public hearing on the sewer project. Since we have to advertise, probably can just do it at our April board meeting, the first board meeting of April. And that gives us time, and I don't think we'd want to have a public hearing, and the 20th would be election day in 2 weeks.
So what do we talk about? What is the,
Anytime you do a grant, you have to have a public hearing. In other words, anyone can come and say something about it, oppose or whatever. Of course, we've already had one applied for the grant, and we've always done them normally at a board meeting. And this is something that the federal government requires you to have a public hearing for grant monies and stuff.
so the pipes are already in the ground, they're already buried.
Well,
Talk about-
basically, they could address some of the issues that,
Oh, gotcha.
ongoing issues, so,
Fair enough.
it's just, like I said, a hearing, Okay, I have one more thing, and I was going to print y'all them out, but my printer just wouldn't cooperate with me this afternoon. So I'll, yeah, but this was a good one.
No, I got you.
He kind of showed our stuff on there and everything. Basically, what I wanted to talk with y'all about is the property that we own that's across from Daniel Nem's office
Mount Water Valley.
on Wagner Street, where right now we use that to store
Oh,
a lot of junk. I mean, a lot of it's good stuff, but we have ground up asphalt, we have concrete, we have riffraff, equipment, some old dumpsters, so forth, so on, so on. Okay. All that being said, I was approached by the hospital. They've been looking for a place to build a assisted living in town. And of course, that would be, quote, an ideal spot, because those people that's not nursing home, it's assisted living. They're mobile. That would give them a place that they could walk very easily to restaurants, to stores downtown, and things like this. I did talk with Daniel, because it is they are a Yellow Bush County hospital. We would not have to advertise. We could, quote, sell to them. But I am wanting to get appraisals, and of course, to get we'd have to go board approval, of course, to sell it to them.
if the county owns the facility, do we have any tax revenue from that project? So that is prime walkable to Main Street property. And if a private developer came in and put homes that retirees could live in and walked in Main Street, that would be a huge boon in taxes forever for the
Yeah,
town.
I've thought about that also.
And that's one of the reasons why there's no publication requirement, because it is a commitment for a nonprofit purpose for the betterment of the community. So it's not it's an altruistic purpose, and so because of that, it's a big decision, and you don't have to publicize it. And there's some other language, but that's the gist.
I just want to get the thoughts out here, and just y'all to start thinking on that. But I would like to go ahead and, like I say, get the legal description and an appraisal of the property. And I've always talked with Michael about another place to move this stuff. It's kind of an eyesore right there, you know.
I
It's-
agree.
I would love to see it turn into a taxable thing.
Yeah.
And especially we could probably get some folks in town that are building lots of new, small residential to get a sense of what the potential,
Yeah, it's a great place for a cul-de-sac
yeah, it is.
of townhouses
Or
or whatever kind of houses.
whatever, but
Yeah.
Whatever it had to be zoned through the planning commission.
but if we had 6 new taxable properties, we should look at the number of what that would mean
What is
for
it
the
zoned
city
as
board of
now?
Valley.
What is it zoned as now?
Well, the city properties,
It's that big green spot right
everything
there.
around it is all.
No, it's yellow. So yellow is R1 single family.
Well, except down towards,
is it farther?
Yeah, it's that big green spot right there.
Oh,
So it's public land right now.
I think,
What's the process to change that?
Planning commission.
public,
Yeah, and public notice and
public
hearings.
right now, where it's just-
Okay, oh,
So, I mean, you can see it's a big chunk of land.
oh, it was a huge school that was up there.
Yeah.
I think about approximately about 3 acres, just looking at the city map.
So if we were to sell it, I would want to look at all the options and make the best financial decision. I love the hospital, I love what it brings to the community, it does a wonderful service, but that is a huge asset for the city, and it could earn a lot of long-term income for the city.
I think Mr. Donald's suggestion about the appraisal is prudent, and you can have a commercial appraisal done where the different uses on the value are looked at.
So we could look at it as a development valued piece of land and.
We could just starting the process of talking.
Are there, is that, if a piece of property like that is sold, can the city sell it contingent on a development being completed there? So that if someone purchased it and they committed to building, say, 8 houses there,
If we sold it to an individual, well, I don't know if we could do that or not in the bid process, but once we accepted a bid,
I think you can, but you have to put that in the publication, because if
Yeah.
you're selling to a
Original
private
public,
individual
not-
for profit, it's gonna have to
Upfront.
be a bid process, but you'd have
Yeah.
to put that out that it's a requirement for the purchase of the property, and you might not get any bids as a result of that.
but that, if that was an option, so that we could say, we're only gonna sell this to someone who will improve its value and contribute tax dollars back into the city, and if you just speculate, in 2 years, if you haven't completed your project and that revenue isn't coming into the property reverts to the city, and that's something you could do.
I don't see why not.
reverts, we give the money back. Anyway, y'all, yeah, just, I brought it to you.
I'd love to see something more productive than
But,
finding gravel there.
We'll go forward and get a good legal description of it and make an appraisal.
And, you know, everything that, the hospital is doing right now is top notch, and so if they decided to put in a, installation there, it would be a fine addition to the city.
And it would
How many
generate
stories would
some
it be?
things to the city, but
Bring
it
it to
would
the
be
conversation.
revisiting your stores.
He just came in, mentioned their interest.
They've been looking for a place inside the city for quite some time now, I think. Okay, anything else on, our, before we have a call maybe for
Oh.
executive session?
Can we get updates of the letters gone out to the properties, the derelict properties around town?
Mr. Robinson came by the office and talked to Lucinda today. I was in Port Gibson and Jackson doing work, and then the 2 letters to the 2 properties for Ms. Folsom and Nicole have been sent out. Luther and I can't remember, but Mr. Bolson or something, but they've been out.
Very good.
And then we've got, of course, Mr. McJunkins, and from what I understand, he's already started his cleanup work. So
He's done?
Who out by Baker Street?
Yeah, I know he
Right there,
demolished
That little
it.
pile left this
Yeah,
weekend.
one
That's
little
what I
pile.
was thinking. But yeah, I mean, but it's for all intents and purposes, it's done.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so, but those, if I'm missing one, y'all let me know, because that's the 4 I did.
So the one on South Main, so
South.
the 2 I sent you, the one on, the 2-story wooden structure, as you're headed south on Main Street,
Across from,
across from the old schoolhouse. So there are 2 trailers. and
Oh,
there's a
oh,
2-story.
oh, oh, yeah, I
So
missed
essentially that
those,
one.
yeah.
And then the one up on,
Oh,
the newly named,
That's Mr. Robinson.
okay.
Yeah,
He's
so I
coming.
got one of them, sorry.
Okay.
So, but let me, 2-story wood frame.
and I have not given him any properties
It's
because I
fine,
did
I
not
haven't
know what y'all turned into him yet. So,
Fan landing.
Great. So, progress.
Great.
one step at a time. Okay.
Now, the next step
They can't
would be,
afford to tear it
if, because y'all are the ones monitoring this, is if you don't see a letter say 10 days, but that's just to kind of kick them to get them going. But if you don't see anything happening, then you'll come back and you'll tell the board, and the board will set for hearing. And then I'll turn around and give the landowner formal notice of the hearing that we're going to have. And at that hearing is where we formally determine that it's a dilapidated property. And we give them the opportunity to rebut that, one, they may not be the landowner, it may be somebody else. They might have sold it, we didn't know that. Or 2, I've cleaned it up. So, but it's a formal hearing, and then at the end of that hearing, we determine what we're going to do. And as Lee pointed out, if I think what they did at the county, which was helpful, is they say, okay, we've determined at this hearing this needs to be cleaned up. In 30 days, we're going to clean it up. And in that 30 days, they cleaned it up.
It can be any amount of time you want, it could be the next day, but you
Right.
want to give them a fair opportunity.
Yeah.
To be-
And so that's our next steps if there's no progress.
Okay.
And
I'll ask you
Mr.
about mine too later. I have a question about that.
Okay. Mr. Robinson he came to the office to tell, well, never mind. We're good.
We're making progress.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think that ends our regular agenda, but we do have a matter then that executive session.
I make a motion that we consider executive session.
Can we have a motion and a second? All in favor? That's everybody.